ati hii chanjo ati ng'ombe itakosa kunyamba. Sasa mimi nauliza jameni, kwani sisi wote ambao sisi tumekuwa vaccinated, kuna mtu amekosa kunyamba kwa sababu alikuwa vaccinated?
Wakati unakashifu serikali ya William Ruto, jameni sema hii na hii umefanya vizuri, hii na hii ndio bado.
Watu waongo wamekuwa wengi katika taifa hili, na mkiwategemea wanaweza wakawapotosha kwa mambo hii ambaye yoyote inatokea.
Lakini kama iko hiyo sindano ama chanjo ya kusimamisha kunyamba, nafikiri idungwe watu wenye wananyamba mambo ambayo hawaelewi. Wewe huna mbuzi, huna ng'ombe, hujui fisi na mbuzi, hujui umbwa na mbuzi.
Kalonzo hati yako na ng'ombe ngapi? Mimi ningekuambia Sudi hana ng'ombe, yeye ni mkulima wa ndengu. Lakini akisikia matangazo ya mambo ya mifugo anataka kuwa mstari wa mbele tena atupatie lecture.
Msinunue mambo ya propaganda na mambo ya kupotosha wananchi. Mchanje mifugo wenu ili wapate afya nzuri.
What kind of nonsense are we engaged in? Honestly, I mean, please give us a break. Wale watu wanaendesha hizi porojo ni watu ambao wanataka umaskini iendelee katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Mahali tumefika only 10%. Na kupata ile immunity inatakikana ndio tufanye biashara mzuri na hii mifugo yetu, lazima tufike mahali hapo 85%.
I want to ask leaders who have no knowledge, who have no understanding, who have no plan, to spare us their ignorance.
We want to export our leather products, but the impediment is the level of disease prevalence, and that is why it is necessary for us to have a national campaign to make sure that we get rid of diseases so that we can expand our market and our products can access international markets. I want to ask leaders who have no knowledge, who have no understanding, who have no plan, to spare us their ignorance. Because they cannot continue to mislead the country. You cannot use propaganda. You cannot use disinformation and fake news to deny the people of Kenya international markets by discouraging disease control in Kenya. Na unajua wale watu wanaendesha hizi porojo ni watu ambao wanataka umaskini iendelee katika taifa letu la Kenya. Sasa wewe, chanjo inafanywa hata ya binadamu. Hakuna mtu Kenya hajakuwa vaccinated. All our children are vaccinated. All of us are vaccinated. Now, surely, if it is not dangerous to vaccinate human beings, how is it dangerous to vaccinate animals? Mimi nauliza hawa watu. Na wanasema mambo ya ajabu, ridiculous things. Ati hii chanjo, ati ng'ombe itakosa kunyamba. Sasa mimi nauliza jameni, kwani sisi wote ambao sisi tumekuwa vaccinated, kuna mtu amekosa kunyamba kwa sababu alikuwa vaccinated? What kind of nonsense are we engaged in?
Not had any stakeholder engagement from conception of this program that you can term as adequate. So even as a Kenya Veterinary Association, we have only been, our opinion has only been sought after the program has received controversy from the public. So we were not involved in the conception of the idea. We haven't been involved along the way. So the program has a lot of misinformation. We've tried to get a lot of information from the government to clear the air. But even as a Kenya Veterinary Association, we are not so clear on the way forward. We don't know how long the vaccination exercise will run, for example. It needs to be tailored to specific regions. For example, you cannot vaccinate against foot and mouth disease in the whole country. There are areas in this country where FMD is not such a challenge. So why will you go and waste resources there? So the vaccination exercise needs to be tailored to the areas where diseases are endemic to. And these vaccines being used to control greenhouse gas emissions in cattle. As an association, we are not sure about the veracity of those claims because that technology is still at a very early stage. I don't think the government has the capacity to actually have a technology now. But it is critical also for government officials not to lecture Kenyans. These cows belong to Kenyans. They are the ones who are going to bring them to you for vaccination, and it's important not to lecture them. Talk to them like adults, explain the benefits of the program, listen to their concerns, and explain their concerns. Remember that Kenyans didn't just wake up and mistrust the government.
Australia is very blessed, whether it's wind or solar. It's quite phenomenal. And your land area per person, compared to, say, Singapore is pretty good. And so the opportunities created by a world that is getting rid of greenhouse gas emissions, Australia is rare in that the opportunities exceed the things you have to give up. You have to give up a large part of and eventually almost all of the coal mining activity. What happens with beef, my climate group, Breakthrough Energy, just announced literally today an investment in an Australian group called Ruminate that helps cows not be so much a source of methane emissions. So we have two paths to solving that. That's 6% of global emissions are cows who burp and fart methane to an extreme degree. You can either fix the cows to stop them doing that, or you can make beef without the cow. And both of those, will be pursued to see which one can lead to the best product in terms of taste, health, and cost. Yeah, so there's basically two ways to help with cows. Cows are about 5% of global emissions, which is pretty unbelievable.
Wild.
And if your goal is to get to zero, you don't get to skip the cows or the steel or the cement or, any of those big areas. So there's a whole class of solutions of making meat without cows. Today, it doesn't taste as good and it costs too much. It's going through a little bit of a lull, but those companies, Impossible Beyond, Memphis, and others are pursuing that. In terms of the cows, we pursued many solutions. So one is to vaccinate the cows in a way that their gut bacteria that emit the methane, which is also called natural gas or CH4, which is the second most important greenhouse gas, you can vaccinate them and that species of bacteria isn't there. Their stomachs are very special because they can eat grass. It's a 3-stage fermentation process, basically. There's another way you can change what they eat, and you could either put that in their water or their feed. There is a drug to change the microbiome, not a vaccine, but a drug. That looks very promising. And then there's a solution where you stick a sort of a metal thing into the skin of the cow, and it actually burns the methane. And all of these look to be quite cheap and implementable even in Africa. And so this is one where I wasn't hopeful when I got started a decade ago. And now it's just a question which solution for which country ends up being the best.